Okay, last video. Now let's wrap it up. Let's talk about how we like to go about doing the master fader chain. All right, so let's break this down real fast. This is my dashboard. Usually when I start playing around with my master fader is a situation where I might have to do a little bit of tweaks here and there. So I'll use the macro faders as my big paintbrush to make my broad strokes. So one thing I wanted to do, especially because I had multiple basses together, like, the high bass, the low bass and all that, I did do a little bit of roll off, just something like 10 hertz, nothing crazy. But it just felt like I needed it, especially because I had a Fairchild on my master bus. So with the Fairchild, those tubes will introduce a lot of body and the transformers will introduce a lot of body. So let's look at what that's doing. We're not adding too much volume. So yeah, using a little bit of those tubes to also give me my brightness, so I don't have to do boost and EQ on my master fader. After that, we have the Brainworks digital, and I just did a little bit of a cut on the mid channel. This is not something I do a lot, but when I have like a busy arrangement with a lot of activity in that low mid, I might just do a little bit of a DV cut somewhere around here. So let's look at that. That's not something I do frequently, but because the arrangement was just so busy, what I did is I did a dB cut in that low mid and then I shifted it upwards. So this is like a mastering technique where sometimes you might cut some sub and then you might boost like 50 or 60 hertz. So you're kind of shifting it upwards, it'll help the mix actually have the potential to get louder too, So yeah, I did a little cut in the mid range and then I boosted it back with Spectre, to still make sure that everything is still there intact, the punch and everything. So I used the clean saturation, and this is dope for mastering. This is to give me some of that low end body, but this is to help kind of push the music and the vocal forward. All right, so the most important thing too is going to be a clipper, right? So in order to make my kick kind of loud and everything like that, it's a situation where you got to think about the gain staging. Me personally, I don't worry about gain staging too much. These tracks already came in gain staged, but let me tell you something about modern music. If somebody goes into like FL Studio or Logic Pro and they click File, Export, boom, okay, they export the tracks out. Usually when you get those stems, those wet stems with the processing on it, everything will kind of be proportionately there. Like the whole mix will actually be there already, right? So what I usually do when I do get a multi-track is I highlight all the tracks and I knock it down by like 6 to 7 dB. As you can pay attention to, I don't really use the volume fader ever. Like I never ever really use it at all because it's like a psychological thing. I'm not trying to be mixing like, oh, maybe I should make that a half a dB or 1 point. I'm not worried about those small little numbers. So it's a psychological reason why I never use the faders at all. You feel me? I only use a plugin to knock down the volume or whatever type of situation. So the clipper, right? These two clippers are what making the kick big. I'm using the clippers to generate distortion rather than me having to do more boost and EQ on my kick. I'm using the actual clippers. So clippers and distortion has always been a part of making music from the beginning of time, since back in the day when, Dr. Dre and all them boys that had an SSL console and they purposely was pushing the whole entire mix into the console. They knew it was going to generate distortion. Distortion is kind of like hot sauce. Everybody likes a different amount of hot sauce on their food, so it's more of a taste thing. Yeah, so most importantly with that too is I was using the JST clip to also clip it as well. You know, I'm a FL Studio baby. You know, a lot of times people think that I don't like FL Studio or something like that. No, I think it's a great DAW. I actually started mixing in FL Studio, so I'm actually used to mixing like, you know, hard into a clipper because that's just the sound that a lot of people grew up with. That's the sound that a lot of rap records in the last 10 years have been using. You feel me? But it's all about how to navigate around that distortion. So, you know, like I said, even back in the days when they was having a guitar and playing that through a Marshall cabinet and overdriving that, they was using distortion on purpose for an aesthetic. So that's kind of how I see it, how much hot sauce I want. So the JST clip as well is giving some distortion too. So I use on my drums, my kick and my bass is separate from everything else. And I got a clipper on the drum bus as well to generate distortion, but also to prevent them overshoots. Cause I only want the clipper on the master fader to be triggered by the kick. You feel me? So this is just kind of like controlling the overshoots and putting a little bit of oversampling on like everything else not named kick and bass.
Over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. I know that we will never get it back, but I can't get too over.
Yeah, so a little bit more of that digital distortion using it aesthetically. And now we have the Kramer tape, which is related to the decapitator, like how I said, right? The Aphex tape machine, right? So yeah, isn't that aunties, mamas, cousins, grand, you feel me? Like these two plugins are related. So that's kind of how I glued the bass and everything. So minimal drive, you know, I don't want more saturation, but this is kind of gluing all of the music together and just a little bit of a roll off on the low end and using soothe to, you know, kind of tame any resonance. It's very lightly though.
Over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. I know that we will never get it back, but I can't get too over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. Can't get too over. Over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. We will never get it back, but I can't get too over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. Can't get...
So yeah, hitting that tape hard. Just this whole song, can't get over, get over. That's what aesthetic I was going for. You feel me? That's how I emotionally perceive music. If somebody's like, I can't get over, do you think they're chill about that? No, they're under the heat of the moment. So that's why I mix this, you know, mix kind of hot on purpose, you know, just to like, hey. And another thing too is like when you mix every day, you start to learn what plugins you can, you know, bully, you know, you kind of know which kids you can punk a little bit with the plugins, you know, which plugins you can smack upside the head and hit at a hot level. So yeah, after that, the using this too, the Faraday limiter as a saturator, just a little bit of transformer warmth. The background vocals got a little cut of low end, and the all effects got a little bit of this, you know, soothe, just to kind of clean them up. So let's look at that master fader real fast. The next thing that we had was Ozone, just a little bit of parallel tape saturation in the high end, and this was just really helping out like the effects. A little bit of stereo imager as well, and with our limiter, we're only doing like half a dB of limiting, so there's like little to no limiting going on. It's primarily the clipper that's actually doing a good amount of the work, but between the clipper and the limiter, it's got to be like two like in some dBs.
Over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. I know that we will never get. See it non-stop. Me when your vibe or your hand me punt. We used to ride and we took it in straight. When you see me when they gonna let me not the room jump, but you're coming back to sober now, and your heart getting colder now. Remember what we had? I know that we will never get it back, but I can't get too over. Can't get too over. You know I can't get too over. I know that we will never get it back, but I can't get.
So, at that point, I done already threw so much seasoning all over my mix that's why I only have a delicate amount of, tape saturation, more for like a smoothing effect in the high end. So you pay attention, like I'm managing how much hot sauce I'm putting all over my fries and my wings. Okay. So with the actual amount of the loudness, we got up to -9. And usually I wouldn't go past -9, -10. It's just anything past that is probably going to be too distorted, you feel me, to even have it be clean. That's kind of like a skill, the ability to get a mix to be loud as hell but with no distortion. And honestly, I feel like it's hardware that really does that. Of course, you can do it in the box, but it's so easy when you have hardware. I used to have the Neve 542s and the West Audio Rare, like a 2 bus compressor, and it was so easy to get the mixes up to -6, and it was literally so easy because that's what the hardware is doing. It's adding the saturation and knocking down the nominal levels. So that's not something that y'all got to worry about right now. Real quick, let's talk about our honorable mentions for the Soundtoys course. We got Filter Freak, which is a very dope plugin right here. What Filter Freak is modeling all those creative resonance filters from like the Moog filter, the Moog synthesizers, Juno Prophet synthesizers, and those sounds are kind of really important to rap and R&B. A lot of the times they came with preset sounds, but what made it really fun for people to get on it is playing with the little knobs, reshaping the envelope of the synthesizers and the pads and the plucks and all that stuff like that on them throwback keyboards. So I think this is a Juno Prophet 10. And as you can see, it's got like resonance and cutoff and attack disdain. It's got all these little triggers and stuff like that to make these special unique sounds. You see the Moog, it has a bunch of type of things going on. This is a Juno Prophet 6 right here too, which is like a very, very popular synthesizer. And the last honorable mention we did not use was Lil Alter Boy. It's a pretty dope plugin. You get to have the pitch and the formant, a couple different modes of pitching vocals up and down. I didn't use it, it wasn't necessary, and you get to have a little bit of drive, right? So with the Filter Freak, is dope because you get different patterns. You get the low frequency oscillator in different shapes, sine wave, square wave, that will affect how the filters move around. You get the envelope, maybe you can do threshold and release. You get to actually have a trigger as well, you feel me, when you want the filter affect the trigger, like you could just trigger a low pass whenever you want. So yeah, that's kind of pretty much everything for the Soundtoys course. We went over every single Soundtoys course and how to use them and apply them to a mix. So I just want to say thank you very much for purchasing this course. I hope you guys were able to pick up a lot of gem, a lot of game. If you guys did like this course, don't forget to contact me whatever way you want to hit me up on YouTube. I always reply to every comment. Or hit me up on email or Instagram. Let me know how you guys enjoyed this course or any different suggestions for any future courses. All right, appreciate you guys now. Love, peace.